buyback is later this week. Any thoughts for Paytm from here?
So, I'll go to the second point first because that's a bit intriguing. If they're not going to be using IPO proceeds for buyback, how does that happen? That's a question mark that we really don't know much about. So we'll have to wait for the outcome of this so-called meeting to explain that. The second thing on the numbers that came through, which looks so fantastic on a YOY basis, because last year the base effect is so paltry that you will see it in percentage terms grow up. And what's going to change? What's going to change dramatically? And that was a very small sliver of that mentioned in Mr. Nandan Nilekani's interview with Ritu, where he's talking about the GST and also getting into this aggregators, database to be accessed by any fintech that wants to. Now, when that happens, probably the likes of Paytm may not just have an edge. You'll have certainly a lot of these fintechs which will mushroom to compete with us. So the disruption in that small credit space through fintechs is bound to happen, Prashant. So I don't think they have some USP which, except for the fact that they have a huge user base on the money transfer business. But I think there are lots of possibilities on disruption. So I don't think there's anything dramatic that could happen to improve things till at least middle of next year. That's when the time of reckoning will be. So stay away. If you have Paytm and if you're still stuck with it, probably you might get an exit in all these exuberance.
All right. Just stay on. We'll come back to you in a bit. Let's get a quick call in on how to approach the markets now, considering it's going to be a weak start. Sudarshan Sukhani and Mitessh Thakkar are with us. Gentlemen, morning to both of you. Sudarshan, it's the start of a brand new week. There's a big event midweek, which is the US Fed meeting. How do you approach it? Do you wait and watch? Do you go a bit easy, no long positions? And given that we're going to start with the gap down, how do you approach it then?
Yeah, good morning, Sonia. See, we are in some kind of a correction now, and that's for the Nifty. So in a correction, it's not a wise idea to rush into and buy. So the trade is still to go long. This is not the trade is not to go short anywhere, but we have to time the long positions carefully and not rush into it. So I would suggest that the markets should be allowed to drift down. And if we have a sharp dip, approximately say 100 points from the open, that's the point at which we can take a chance, go long, and keep a 100-point stop loss. If that dip doesn't come, we miss the trade, and that's fine with me. So that's the view on the Nifty. Wait for a sharp dip. If it comes, put a 100-point stop loss and go long, at least for the and then see where it goes. The Bank Nifty is a different story altogether. It's been outperforming, and I think that with a 250-point stop, the Bank Nifty can be bought with a very minor dip also.
Okay, all right. Noted that, Sudarshan. So 100-point dip on the Nifty, the Bank Nifty 250-point dip. Got that. Morning, Mitessh. Let's get you as well in this conversation. What's your call on both the indices, the Nifty and the Nifty Bank?
Good morning, Nigel. I think the Nifty Bank is still looking healthy to me. The Nifty itself is a bit of a worry. The intraday chart, which is the hourly and the 2-hourly chart, suggests that we might not be out of this corrective movement. It's not a declining movement, it's a correction to the uptrend which has happened. So we're penciling in around 18,420 as the first support area, and then in the worst case scenario, 18,300. I would be more aggressive in buying in case we get to the second level. But otherwise, we'll wait and see if from 18,420 there's a sign of reversal, and then we can, possibly at least get into some kind of a bounce back. So for the time being, no hurry to take long positions on the Nifty. On the Bank Nifty, I would say around levels of 43,300 to about 43,000 is the support zone. So somewhere between that, if we see a reversal, I would be more happy to trade the Bank Nifty on the long side.
All right. What about individual stocks? What are we looking at this morning? Mitessh, let me begin with you.
So I have one banking name on the buy side, which is HDFC Bank. It's a conditional buy. It's just on the verge of breakout above the earlier hourly pivots of 1635.36. So buy about 1638, keep a stop at 1624. 1680 is the first target. That apart, Nestle is a buy with a stop at 19,950 for targets of 20,800. And on the sell side is Tata Power. Keep a stop at 223.5, look for targets of 210. And Havells is a sell as well with a stop at 1202 for targets of 1145.
And Sudarshan, how about you?
Well, Alchem is a buying opportunity. Alchem is now in a trading range, and the chances are that it could break on the upside. Buy with a stop under 3,000. Bata India is my only intraday short. The stock has been very weak and poor relative strength. It's an intraday short with a stop above 1700. And my third stock is exactly what Mitesh has already talked about, HDFC Bank. The same story, a very narrow range for the last 1 month. It's on the verge of a significant, what I hope is a breakout. Buy with a stop under 1590. And my fourth stock is Tata Chemicals. That's a buy on dips opportunity. Now, there is some risk there because there is no clarity that the breakout is coming on the upside. It's worth taking a chance with a stop under 1010.
Okay, all right, gentlemen, thanks a lot for that. We'll come back to you all for the 9:10 call as well. For the time.